From World War I to Vietnam and the more recent conflicts like Afghanistan, most Australians are aware of the military relationship with the United States. But what is perhaps less well known is that military partnership underpins an extraordinary economic relationship, both in terms of trade and investment.
There are some American companies that have been operating in Australia for more than 100 years, companies like GE that came into Australia in the 19th century and are still here today, and then a lot of newer companies as well. But it's a very busy two-way street. There are a lot of Australian companies that are operating in the United States now as well, and the two-way trade and investment relationship is worth almost $2 trillion. Which is very, very significant for both countries. Australia punches well above its weight, with the U.S. investing over $1 trillion here in Australia.
April Palmerlee is the CEO of the American Chamber of Commerce here in Australia. This year, AMCham celebrates a major milestone.
We're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year, and we have offices all across the country that support the bilateral trade and investment relationship between our countries. We were set up to explore the opportunities and create dialogue and discussion. And we've been growing ever since being set up originally in Sydney in 1961.
The post-war boom meant that it was a good time to set up shop.
The real growth of American businesses in Australia, I think, started after the Second World War, because of the collaboration between Australia and the United States. After the fall of Singapore, there was a lot of military investment in and the technology here in the products that Australia had after the war. And so I think that was really the beginning of a very fruitful relationship economically, but based on the military relationship. There are companies like Boeing that have their biggest footprint outside the United States here in Australia. So those are the anchors of the American business community here in Australia. There are some members who joined with us in 1961 who are still with us today. American Express, Merck, Caterpillar. We've had some companies with us for a very, very long time. IBM, Bechtel, Coca-Cola, Baker McKenzie.
Founded in Chicago in 1949, Baker McKenzie has operated in Australia for more than half a century.
Well, Baker McKenzie is a global law firm, one of the largest law firms in the world, and we've been doing business in Australia since 1964, just soon after AMCham itself started here. Our business was founded just after World War II, and we were following US capital into Europe, and it wasn't very long after that we started to follow US capital into Asia, and indeed our Sydney office is the second office that we opened in the region, and we've been able to enjoy the opportunity to work beside many great US companies in a whole different wave of investment. Mining and resources in the 60s, healthcare and consumer good in the 70s, technology in the 80s and 90s, and roll that forward now, and infrastructure, energy transition, and certainly the digital economy and digital disruption has been a big part of what we do here, particularly as US capital finds its way into this market. And as a consequence of doing that, we've really come to understand, I think, the business models and the needs of foreign capital coming into the market. And others, we're sort of proud to say, have followed us, but we've been somewhat of a trailblazer in ensuring that our professional services and business here is serviced by that kind of global perspective in law, and we think they're very important contributions to this market.
From McDonald's to Google, many American companies have arrived and thrived in Australia, and that means jobs.
Yes, well, of course, at different phases in the boom and bust cycle of the energy sector, there are fewer or more jobs. But right now, we calculate there are between 300 and 400,000 people working for American companies here in Australia, and their median annual income is $115,000 a year. So that's almost double the average Australian salary. They're very well-paid jobs, and they're creating opportunities for Australians here in Australia, but with that American investment, American ingenuity, and the connection to the American market.
AMCham has played a very important and vital role. I mean, it's been a forum for the exchange of ideas and the development of understanding between government and business, which has been critical, I think, to the kind of growth that we have enjoyed between Australia and the US. It's a place that provides terrific resources for those looking to do business here or in the US. It provides great access to government and to markets, and it really does a terrific job of assiduously developing networks. I mean, trade missions, for example. I mean, I would say that the relationship that is enjoyed from a business perspective between Australia and the US has been very valuable to both our countries. And I think the role that AMCham has played and helped facilitate that has been vital, and I expect they'll continue to contribute.